Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
Copyright disclaimer. This content does not belong to Bible Chronicles or claim this intellectual property. The content provided today has and always will belong to the content owner. Bible Chronicles does not have any affiliation with the owner of this property. As mentioned, Bible Chronicles did not intend to make use of any material for the purpose of harvesting gain. However, Title 17 of United States copyright law states material and use can only be done when it's for theological or general educational purposes, and thus Bible Chronicles believes that this principal material falls under fair use, which honors protection under Section 107 of the same U.S. copyright law.
Entre quien escribe y quien dice frases bonitas, en el interludio de quién eres y qué imitas, entre lo que fue pero acabó y aún lo meditas, están quienes lo describen. Afroditas, la melancolía entre tantos casos adversos. No conozco tu historia y sé que debe tener tropiezos. Es empatía lo que deben dictar mis versos. Y quiero que al escucharlo no solo yo aprenda de eso. Pertenezco al tipo de persona poblacional reducido que se clarifica normalmente por escrito. No sé si tú, sé que si yo tengo motivos, tengo la fe para dar más de lo que digo. Si el poder está en la palabra, entonces habla. Si la energía te perdió, debes buscarla. Si todo sale bien, no olvides cuidar tu espalda. Y si todo sale mal, en ese ritmo también baila. Abracadabra invisible ante los matices. Con dopamina laminé mis cicatrices. A los totazos hice que el pasado extirpe. Y como pirómano gocé del fuego de mi eclipse. Pasarán lloviznas y tormentas, días lentos, luego noches eternas. Notarás que el tiempo nunca frena, aunque pidas descanso, como sea. Pasarán lloviznas y tormentas, días lentos, luego noches eternas. Notarás que el tiempo nunca frena, aunque pidas descanso. ¿Cómo? Mientras respiro, retomo, recuerdo, vuelvo y me hundo. Solo siento que lo digo, si lo narra algo profundo. No me importa el lugar, llegar en primero o segundo. Si el beat se deja llevar, me le monto y lo escupo. En nombre de lo divino, sobre lo que diga asumo. En nombre de lo que dije, mi reacción y cómo actúo. En nombre de la reacción que sea en el momento oportuno. Y bendice a quien me hizo mal, sabes que no mido mi pulso. Tiempo fuera, checkmate, jaque mate. Minuto y medio y no he sacado mis ases. Secreto no es, llevo compases en la sangre. Por eso es que cuando escribo solo pido el pisto alcance. Para hablar claro, para mí esto nunca fue moda. Sé que escribo desde que tengo memoria. No tuve afán de escenario y miles personas. Soy número uno fan de estar en mi cuarto a solas. Salud o enfermedad, el rap fue el único antídoto. Si pensé no dar más, mi bafle fue el que debutó. También dije te amo a quien después le sentí odio. Fue testigo de mi ira y volver a hacerlo si lo evoco. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Lonely, lonely, lonely. Pasarán lloviznas y tormentas, días lentos, luego noches eternas. Notarás que el tiempo nunca frena, aunque pidas descanso, como sea. Pasarán lloviznas y tormentas, días lentos, luego noches eternas. Notarás que el tiempo nunca frena, aunque pidas descanso, como sea.
El autor viene a decirnos con mucha firmeza y gran convencimiento lo mismo que nos decía en el siglo XVIII el barón de Holbach, ¿no? Un filósofo francés de origen alemán, Si nos remontamos al comienzo, entonces hallaremos que la ignorancia y el temor crearon a los dioses. La fantasía, el entusiasmo o el engaño los adornaron o desfiguraron. La debilidad les rinde culto, la credulidad los conserva, la costumbre los respeta y la tiranía los apoya para que la ceguera de los hombres sirva a sus propios intereses.
So check this out. Let me show you something real quick. Let's see if I can get to it. Hold on, all right?
We have seen
Yeah, here it goes.
and heard. We have seen and heard these things, right? I'll give you an example. We read this before. These wobbles here, apparently they don't know how to read James the Deer. He clearly says, yeah, they're copper color, red color, sure. And they delight in everything, which they imagine may promote and increase it. You see that? You see that? This book, excuse me. Sorry. The history of the American Indians, particularly those nations, adjusting to, you can see the style of writing of James the Deer. What year is that? I'm going to try one for that. Let me find out. Let me see. 1776. Okay. Now let's go. So they're copper color. They delight. Listen, the Indians are of a copper color, of a copper or red clay color. I'm sorry, and they delight in everything which they imagine may promote and increase it. You guys cannot promote nor increase your color. You're either blackety black or wackety white. You light-skinned ones, like, the twins, they can't tan. They cannot get darker. They'll get redder. Guarantee you. We, however, can get lighter and darker throughout the season, depending on whether I'm in the sun more or not. If you can see, when I wear sandals, you'll see the clear distinction that I'm light-skinned and also dark-skinned. So anyways, let's continue. I don't even have to. You guys already know. All the Indians are strongly attached to and prejudiced in favor of their own color that they think as meanly of the whites as we possibly can do of them. The English trader among them experienced much of it and are often very glad to be allowed to pass on muster with the Indian chieftain as a fellow brethren of the human species. Okay? So we know in this book here, it talks about several things. Like what they look like, the hotter the colder the hotter or colder the climate is, where the Indians have long recited, the greater proportion they have either of red, white, or color. Did you guys forget to read this? It's in page 2. I took particular notice of the Shawano Indians as they were passing by the northward within 50 miles of the Chickasaw country to that of the Creeks. And by comparing them with the Indians which I accompanied to their camp, I observed that the Shawano to be much fairer than the Chickasaw. You guys always bring these pictures of blackity black people. How come you don't show the light-skinned ones? Oh, porque no te conviene, ¿verdad, pendejo? No te conviene, güey. No te conviene. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me slow down a bit. Sorry, family. I've been kind of going a little fast, right? Let's see what you got, bro. That 12 chart, stupid. How did we get shorter if we came from these people? Yeah, exactly, bro. Oh, because you mix with white people, but white people are taller than us. Oh, because you mix with Asians. Well, there's Asians that are taller than us, too. It's funny, dude. Oh, man, this gets crazy. Give me a second. Let me go over some of these comments here real quick. How can you be the people of the book and indigenous? You know your heritage, the food you ate, your DNA, all proves when the word says that these things would be removed from your memory. Okay, so you brought up indigenous heritage. And then it says, know your heritage, the food you ate, your DNA, all the proof when the word says that these things would be removed from your memory. So what are you saying? What are you saying exactly? I'm not sure what you're talking about. I'm trying to understand what you're saying. Let me get the point of what you're saying. Maybe rephrase your question or your statement. I'm not sure what you're saying. Who is this guy? Tommy Izzy, send the link. Okay, let's go. There's the link. So what do you want to talk about, Tommy? Hurry up before I start the class again. But I do got something to show. Anyways, all right, let's continue. Normalization of racism. All right, let's go.
I didn't like Black Panther 1 because the messages were horrible.
Well done.
CIA agents were friends. I didn't like Black Panther 1 because the messages were horrible. CIA agents were friends of the Wakandans. CIA agents were responsible for the assassination of nearly every major black leader we had in the 20th century. They made the Wakandans look selfish, like they didn't care about American Africans. They made Killmonger the symbolic representation of the African-American alpha male who was conscious. They made him into a killer and a disrespecter of African culture. I thought the themes in Wakanda were horrible. There was no romance, no intimacy, no love, no black woman with a child in the whole movie. Black Panther 1 was a political nightmare. Now let's go to Black Panther 2. And I'm going to keep this brief. Let me say this. No disrespect to the Mexican community. No disrespect to the Mexican.
He's a liar. No disrespect, but yet you call us underwater Mexicans. Like wetbacks.
Mexican community. No disrespect to the Mexican community. You have a right to your own heroes, and Mexican children have a right to see their heroes in their own image. I totally support the right of Mexican children to see heroes in their own image. So respect to the Mexican community. With that being said, I did not take my children to see Black Panther 2 so they can watch Mexican superheroes whip the shit out of black superheroes. I'm going to say it again. And I don't care who don't like it. As far as I'm concerned, it was a total disgrace to watch a movie where everything black children held sacred about the Wakandans was shown to be possessed by the underwater Mexicans. Vibranium was supposed to be native to Wakanda, but Ryan Coogler and whoever else wrote that horrible screenplay gave the underwater Mexicans Vibranium too and made them as strong as the Wakandans. Why would you build up Black Panther as strongly as you did in the first movie only to turn around and tear the damn thing down? The Mexicans were clearly stronger than the Africans in that movie. The Mexicans were whipping our ass the whole movie. The Mexican leader, and I forget his name, he got more screen time in the movie than the Black Panther did. If this movie is about Black Panther, emphasis on black. Why are our children in the movie theater watching an underwater Mexican hero get more screen time than the black hero in the movie?
No, I'm not. You see, you're a young. Let me tell you something, bro. If you want me to read a scripture like Ezekiel and all that, why don't you hit the link and we could talk about it if you like. But then don't get embarrassed when I start embarrassing you, and don't run, because I'm gonna go straight to the scriptures in Deuteronomy 28, and I'm gonna hit you hard, and you better answer it, or you're gonna embarrass yourself. That's why I keep saying, sit back, be quiet, and listen, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And did you know? Matter of fact, did you know? Let me just tell you something. Did you know that the Holy Spirit we pronounce as Ruach? Did you know that? You didn't know that, and that was down south. So again, man, if you want me to read a script, what's going on, man? You want? Go ahead, man. What's going on? How can we help you?
Yeah, I saw your last stream and I heard what you were saying. You're completely wrong.
What am I wrong on?
You're wrong about who are the Israelites. You're
Who
wrong
are
about
they?
Native Americans.
Who are they? Who are the Israelites?
The slaves.
Which African
And
American slaves?
the ones who went into slavery. And
Are
there
you
were
sure they
ones
were
who
all?
had already.
Are you sure that the so-called African Americans were enslaved here in America? You're
Yes,
positively
I'm
sure on that?
positive.
Okay.
Pretty positive.
So you're saying that they never owned slaves at all? They were always in slavery the whole time they were here?
You know why you're wrong is because you believe all black people are the same. There are
I
different
know. I don't
types of
actually.
black people.
I don't believe all black people are the
So
same.
which black people owned slaves? Were they descendants of slaves or were they Moors?
Oh, so now there's selective Moors, or what are we talking about?
There's selective Asians, there's
Right.
Chinese, and there's
Okay.
Japanese. There's
Okay.
different
So
Asians,
you're
right?
here to defend the so-called African Americans of America here in America, right? That's what you're here for. But you sound like you're from
I'm
Africa.
here to prove
Hold on a
you're
second. You
wrong.
sound like you're from Africa, but you're here to defend them, correct?
No, I was born in the United States.
Okay. Well, you have a heavy accent of some
Where,
other place. So
where,
where are you from? Okay, this guy disconnected or connected? I'm not sure what's going on. Tommy, you connected or connected? So where are you from, Tommy? What part of the world are you from?
I'm from Buffalo, New York.
No. Where were you born? Tommy, every time I ask you where you were born, you disconnect. Okay, hold on. Hey, Tommy, your phone's kind of off. Where were you born, Tommy? What part of the country?
I was born in Buffalo, New York.
So where's this accent from?
Where's what
You were
action?
just talking with an accent like you're from some other country.
Nah, that's how I talk. Maybe your phone was breaking up or your feed or whatever.
Come on, man.
I'm from New York.
You don't sound like no New Yorker, bro. Why are you bullshitting us? You're already coming in with
That's
a
where I'm
bullshit
from.
language.
What you want me
You're
to
coming
do?
in with a bullshit accent telling us that you're from America, and I know you're not.
How do you know I'm not from America? I'm from
I
New
can
York.
tell your
I can tell you everything about Buffalo,
no.
New York.
You see, now you're changing your accent. Now you're holding your tongue slightly. And let me say something. Why I know this. Listen.
No, I'm not.
I've been
This is
listening
how
to people for almost 30 years. Hold on. I've been listening to you. You see, family, they love to run because they think they can get away with some comment like that. Tommy, it's gonna be the last time I let you on, bro. Because you come on, I ask you a question, and you run again. Okay, so let's start from the top.
come on to prove how you're wrong.
Stop. No.
That's what I'm
See,
here
you
for.
cannot come to prove something when you're a liar already. You're not from this country, bro. So just tell us where you're from.
This is crazy. You've seen my birth certificate?
Oh, okay.
You need to see my ID and my
Do
birth
you
certificate?
listen to how you sound?
That's what
Do
you
you
want to
listen
see?
to how you sound? You see, when you first start,
It
hold on a
seemed
second.
like
When
you're
you first,
running
hold on.
because you're bringing
When you
up something
first,
that doesn't mean
no.
anything.
When you first called in, right? You had a heavier accent. Now you're holding it back. As soon as I questioned where you were from.
Accent of what?
Matter of fact, let's continue.
Accent
Let's
of what?
continue. So who are these
Please,
African
let's
Americans that
continue.
you say were enslaved? Because you also reference them from a third person. You never reference yourself as one. You referenced them. So that told me too that you're not from here. So let's stop being fans, but I'll play with your game. Go ahead.
I think you're thinking
how
it
is it?
too deep.
No,
into
no.
it.
It's because I think. Because I think. There's no such
Yeah,
thing as thinking too deep.
you
There's just
think.
thinking or not thinking. So I'm listening to you, actively listening at the same time. I need to
Okay.
answer what your
Tell me
question
what.
is.
Tell me what's your position.
Wait, no, hold on
Let's
a
get
second.
your
You just told
position
me
for
that
the
you're going to
record.
prove to us. Prove to us that they are the people here. Go ahead. Tell me. Show me how. Show me how.
Well, there's a record
Let's go to
of
the Bible. Let's
the
go to the
transatlantic
Bible. Let's
slave
go to the
trade, right?
Bible. Let's go to the Bible.
Let's go to the
Okay, cool.
Bible.
Sounds
Let's
good.
go.
So you're
Let's
telling
go.
me that the people here in America, right? That they are the natives, right? I'm sorry, that they're the people of the book, correct? Okay.
Right. And other people who were scattered
Yeah,
via
there's
the
other people too.
transatlantic
Yeah, but
slave
guess
trade.
what? There's a lot of history that people of Africa, not West Africans necessarily, but of Africa, traveled in places. You see, there's a lot of history
Right.
between Europe and Africa. I know this. So before you go and assume that these people are the people of the book would say that they never knew this nation of people, not their fathers currently and not their fathers in the past. Okay, so let's start off with that point.
There you go. You
No, I'm not
confusing
confusing
just
anything, man.
because
We're
they have
talking about
black
history.
skin
We're
that they're
talking
the
about
same
history
people.
because I know that you're going to probably bring up the
Bro.
fact that black folks, so-called, ruled Europe. Correct? You're also going to say that, right?
No, you're confusing
You
that all
mentioned
black
Moors.
people
You
come from the
mentioned
same
Moors. Didn't you mention
nation.
Moors? Okay.
Moors.
So the Moors went to
Yeah.
Europe,
What
didn't
about
they?
Moors?
7-Eleven?
Yes,
Okay,
they
sounds
did.
good. So
Yes,
then
they
the
did.
Moors, which you consider as black folks, ruled Europe. Yes or no?
They did, but
No,
that doesn't
okay,
mean that they're
I'm
Israelites.
taking you through history and I'm bringing you back. Okay, so now we're going to talk about so-called African Americans that you said that they're the people of the Bible. Sounds good. So read to me if you have the book, if you have your book, because if you say you're an Israelite, so read Deuteronomy 28:27.
28,
Yeah,
27. Let me get my Bible real quick. You said 28. Which one?
28,
Which
27.
verse? 27. And the Lord will strike you with the boils of Egypt, with tumors, and with the scab, and with the itch from which you cannot be healed. What does that have to
When
do
did
with
that
anything?
happen here to the African Americans? Here in America. When did that happen to them?
Excuse my son. Say that again.
When did this happen to the African Americans in America?
When did they have boils and
Sure.
scabs? I'm pretty sure that there are plenty of experiments that's documented that where African Americans were like the Tuskegee
Well, I'm not talking about
experiment.
this. It says here that if
Okay.
you pay attention to the actual process of the curses, right? They're going
Okay.
to be, in general, physical, then mental, right? We're talking about this. So here we see that.
Says boils
nation-
with
hold on a
tumors
second.
with
I'm
the
asking
scab.
you a question, so please answer. Don't give me
Go
some
ahead.
Tuskegee ass answer. That's not an answer. The Lord will smite
Go
thee
ahead.
with the botch of Egypt, and with the emeralds, and with the scab, and with the itch whereof thou
Okay.
cannot be healed. Okay? So
Okay.
when did that happen?
When did this happen?
Here.
You saying here? I'm not sure when it happened here.
So okay, so that you're speaking of a historical book, right? That now you're telling me that you don't know if this happened to so-called African Americans here in America.
No, I don't have the history of when this
Bro,
happened.
if you're going to try to argue something with regards to where these things come from or who it happened to, you have to come with some information, man. I just basically took you to one verse, and you can't even answer me that.
Your position is that Native
Hold on a
Americans,
second.
right?
No. I'm not going to answer any more questions.
Is this a back and forth? Is this a back and forth question thing or
I'm
no?
not going to answer any questions until you answer me this one. So you okay?
I gave you the.
So
I gave you
basically,
my answer.
you
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Okay, sounds good. So do you know who brought
Okay.
smallpox to America?
Who brought smallpox? From what I know, that there were smallpox and blankets given to Native
Right, and
Americans.
this is exactly what the scabs, the emerods, and the itch, which thou cannot be healed. In case you,
How do you
because
know?
smallpox is very similar to what they call chickenpox, very similar. So if you've
Okay.
never had chickenpox, then
Okay.
you probably don't know what that's about. But chickenpox is just like that.
So how
And then
was?
it says, hold on, verse
Okay, I
35,
got
hold
you.
on.
How?
Verse 35 also says that the Lord shall
What?
smite thee in the knees and in the legs with the sore botch that cannot be healed from the soles of thy foot unto the top of thy head. And then
Okay.
in verse 60, I believe 61, it says that it also every now I'm sorry, which one is talks about that the hold on, let me see. I'm kind of going on the fly here real quick. There's also one more that talks about where you would get the curses of Egypt that you did not know. Now, in case you don't know this, I'm going to ask you one more time. Do you know where smallpox came from? Okay, so I guess he disconnected. So in the meantime, while he's trying to connect back, family, I'm going to show you where smallpox came from. Okay, this is from the Seven Myths, which talks about the conquistadors who came. Right. I don't know what page this is, family. To be honest with you, actually I do. I do. Let me look for it. Well, let me. I'll look at it after. Okay. It says here on this page, another first attributed to the African. Oh, hold on. Let me go up. In 1519, Juan Garrido, who is a black conquistador, joined Cortez expedition to the mainland, and in 1520 was one of the founding residents of Mexico City. Garrido later wrote to the king that he was the first to have the inspiration to sow wheat here in Spain and to see if it took. I did this and experimented at my own expense. Another first attributed to an African in Mexico was the bringing of smallpox to the mainland. Francisco de Iguia, one of the black slaves on Narvaez expedition of 1520, allegedly died of the disease soon after landing in Mexican coast. Now we know that because of this gentleman, Mexico was decimated with smallpox. So before you go and assume things, you have to really know your book, man. Shit. I gave you one. I gave you a layup. You should have known the answer to that. If you can't answer that, then I cannot go any further with you. Plus, you even lied about your accent. You weren't born here, bro. Why you have to lie like that? I just don't get it. We said, my brother, read the whole 28. He'll get it. Read the whole what? He'll get what? Yeah, people gave the Indians. No, not people. Africans, West Africans gave us smallpox. The Christians, which are considered white people, they brought the French pox. I could read the whole book for you, lady, but you still don't mean your R of the book. I gave you one and you couldn't even answer it. Hey, look. I had chicken pox. That don't prove that you're from Turkish Ottoman that you're from the Turkish Ottoman Empire of Genghis Khan and Meg Khan, or the okay, what? What do you wait? Hold on. I've had chicken pox. That don't prove that you're not from the Turkish Ottoman Khan. Is that what you're saying? You're trying to say that? Oh, so you guys are a sad case, bro. You had one person that jumped on, he couldn't answer it. Now you guys are all butthurt. Stop being upset. Just sit back and learn. This ain't your book. You know what you should do? You should probably consider repenting. How about you work on that? And maybe, just maybe, you may have some mercy. Let's go.
Hundreds of slaves, man. Hundreds of slaves. Now you're saying Esau took away their heritage.
All right, fam. Yeah, I had to step out for a second, man. I didn't realize that the sound was off. I had it on mute when the dude jumped on. Anyways, my bad. Let's continue.
Okay. Explain this to me then. Okay, explain this to me. And don't be telling me some dumb scripture. Free Negro owners of slaves in the United States in 1838. Explain this to me.
Look, Magdalene. Well, one published article, historically speaking, that's never heard of. It's one article. Stop trying to fit into something that doesn't fit. Now you're digging. Now you're digging deep. You've never been known for that. We're talking about like decimation. And listen, you guys want to fit the curses? Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Because it says botches that thou cannot be healed, right? Which verse is that? Let's see. So in verse 60, it says, Deuteronomy 28:60, moreover, he will bring unto thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou was afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Now we know that in Deuteronomy 28 and in Leviticus 10:26, it talks about being diminished. And we know that we were diminished. So, Naomi, this is what happens when you get emotional and you can't prove a thing. That's the sad part about you. Sorry. You don't fit the curses. It's just sad. Here, let's continue.
Free Negro owners of slaves. Since you want to defend them so much, you're defending them more than you're defending your own gente. So as of right now, I don't care what you think you are. Based on your spirit, you could be them for all I give a damn. Because you can't explain this. Explain this to me. Free Negroes. Wait, what are you talking about, bro? Free Negro owners of slaves in the United States of America. Together with absentee ownership of slaves in the United States in 1830. In 1830. That's, so you see, family? You see this, family? That's 200 years after they got here. But see, that makes no sense now. You, with your 12 tribe belief, I'm scared you haven't hit the link. That's how stupid you are.
Magdalene, whatever your name is. I'm just showing you right now that you guys had slaves all up until actually, this is 1830, but you had slaves up until 1865. After the so-called Civil War. There's nothing civil about it. You still had slaves. Explain that. If you said that you fit the curses, then how come black folks had slaves here in America? I mean, I don't. You can't cover the sun with your thumb. You know what I mean? Like you can't let me just pinch let me just kind of just to try to cover the sun from my view because I don't want the truth. You cannot fit something that just doesn't go. Like you really stretched it that far. Hold on. If it's time, okay. If it's you, I'll let you talk. Okay, go ahead, man. So what was the question?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. What was your question then? What was it?
I said, if you're Israel, who is Esau?
That's a good question, man. Well, we're talking about obviously a mixture. I can't say all white folks, because they're also tribal. Because you also have black folks that are that bloodline. A majority of African Americans in America, if not all of them, have a 25 to 30% so-called white blood in them.
That's untrue.
It's very
I
true.
don't.
Well, you're not from here, man. You're from some other country. You just don't want to admit it. That's your problem.
That's where are you from?
I'm from Mexico. That's where I'm from.
Okay. You did your DNA?
I did my DNA.
What did it say?
What is yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
I'm 95% from West Africa.
Actually, that's my point. That's always what I said. Yep, that's good.
That's what most African Americans are, because we came over here on slave ship.
Not 90, nothing.
What did yours say?
Not at all. Matter of fact, a lot of you guys are about 60% here in America.
Oh, I don't know. That's not true. But what did yours say?
Listen. Mine's, I'm 92% native, and I actually have my DNA coming out of that region where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob sojourned.
Let me see that. You got that?
Can you prove yours? I'll show you mine if you can prove yours.
I could prove mine. Mine is on Ancestry.
Okay.
But I obviously don't have a computer link.
Okay, so now tell me then to be honest with me. I'll show you mine if you just stop lying to me. What part of Africa are you from?
I'm not from Africa. I was born in Buffalo, New York. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right. I'll continue to believe you, man, because you let go of that accent real easy when you forget. That's just funny.
I never used that accent. I'm just from New York.
I'll tell you what, just so I can actually prove something to you, because you are not familiar with this channel. I've showed my DNA in my channel. I've showed it.
Okay. And what did it say? What did it say?
What I exactly told you. What I told you. Exactly what I told you. Exactly what I told you.
Can you show it
in my picture? Why should I show it to you right now? Are you gonna see?
Okay. I guess I should just take your word for it.
No. I just said I shared it in my channel. I've got 500 and almost 70 videos, and I always show this. I don't hide it from nobody. People that follow my channel know what I do.
Okay. And yours say it come from where?
From where?
Where does your DNA come from?
From the region of, let's just say, probably the point of Syria.
From Syria?
Mm-hmm.
And you're native?
I've been here based on DNA more than 2,000 years. Yes. So
you've been here more than 2,000 years.
So I do subscribe to the second Ezra's prophecy. In case you don't, okay. I do.
So
I don't believe we're in here 7,000 years. I don't believe that.
Okay. So you're saying you're native, and your Israel and white people is Jacob. I mean, is Esau.
Not all white people, man. Not all white people. Just like I don't believe all black people are Canaanites or automatically Hamites. Not at all. But then you have to define what black person is. Here in America, there's such a blur in regards to that terminology. So then you also have to define what a black person is, because America has took black and it said, oh, you have to look a certain way, typically like a West African. But that doesn't mean that all black folks are considered that feature or phenotype. I don't agree with that. I actually have communication with some people in East Africa, Ethiopia, who I do agree that they are Israel. I agree with that. So whatever notion you have in your mind, I don't know what it is. But what I do is prove in this channel who we are according to the Bible. Now, some people don't like it because I bring facts. Like, for example, when I show people, when people came to this continent, they came two types of nations. They were either dark or white, one of the two. They both worked together and enslaved the natives in this land. We have documentation that proves it, English and Spanish.
Okay, have you read, you like books, right?
Yeah, I read all the time. Okay,
you have the Lost Tribes of the Promised Land?
Yeah, that will tell you that that's the typical go-to for like the newbies. I'm past that, bro.
Okay, and the Lost Tribes of the Promised Land, right? Documents when Columbus came and he saw these people, right? And they were running around, and they were damn near half naked, correct? And then he had this what? Because it says it in the book.
So, because it says it in the book, we should believe it?
We don't. Well, it's a book. You source from books, correct?
No, I'm asking you a question. So, because we read it in the book, we should believe it?
Yeah, it's from a first-hand account from an explorer. It's his own account.
Okay. So then I'm glad you're actually doing that. I'm glad you're doing that because I want to get to my point here.
Okay.
All right, since you're here, is I look, I am willing to talk to people if they're willing to listen, but they got to come with facts in order for me to believe. Now, if you're
Okay.
going to
I'm
take the
referencing a
notion,
book.
exactly, hold on. So
Go
if
ahead.
you're saying we're going to read it from a book, let's listen to this book right here, because this is from James Adair, a book
Wait,
printed
wait,
prior to the Promised Lands. And let's listen
wait.
to what he says, because my point here about the class, where in regards to several other topics, is the concept of Wakanda. Okay.
What are you
See,
talking about?
well, that's what I'm saying. You're not following the class. You just jumped on because you felt ballsy. You see what I mean? You're not following the
No,
class.
you're wrong. And now you jump. Can we deal with this book first, and then we can go to your
All right.
book?
Okay. So what does the book say before I go back into my class, man? Hurry up.
The book says that Columbus had a Native American who was showing him around the land, correct? Are you familiar
Oh,
with the book?
which book? Yeah, the Promised Lands. Yeah. So he has somebody with him. What about it?
Yeah, he had a Native American. A Native American was speaking about a group of people that in America that they were going to war with, right?
Mhm.
And this group of people had traditions similar to those of Israelites. So how would a Native American, if Native Americans are Israelites, why would they be warring with a group of people that did not have their same tradition?
Okay. Okay. So you're gonna take one statement. Show me where that other statement happened from some other person, from some other book.
Deal with that.
No, no, no,
Can you
no,
deal with
no,
that?
no, no. Because guess what? I can say to you John 3:16 and create a doctrine off of that, which is what you just did.
That's not what I'm doing.
No, that's exactly what you're doing.
I'm
You
taking
said
a
Columbus
first-hand
had this
account
native.
from an
Hold on.
explorer.
You said Columbus had this native, and this native said this. So because
Right.
this native said that, that shit makes it real. What do you mean? Show me some other source. Some other source. Give me another source.
Our only sources is from history. It's from
No,
first-hand
show me
account.
another book, like another book that references some conversation like that, but not exactly that native, some other native to somebody else. Show me some other book
I have a
to
couple of
support that
books.
statement. Okay,
I
so
have
where
a
are they?
couple of books,
Are they
but
with you right now?
that's the one that I'm gonna reference right now.
Okay, well, guess what, man? See, you don't know this channel, and
Do
you
you
don't know
have
me
a
well.
do you
Because
have
in
a
this, hold on, stop.
counter to this?
In this channel, we bring sources to support a statement.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
so this is the reason why I'm showing this class, because I had actually done a class to support this class, but YouTube took it down. So I'm bringing two sources to confirm that this terminology Wakanda wasn't in regards to or connected to Africa. That was the whole point of this little segment we have going on before you jumped on. So
Okay.
unless you got something else to prove, can I continue with this, or do you have another question?
I'm looking for a counter to the statement. Do you have a counter to that?
Counter to what?
So what I just said. Why
I'm
would
not
a
gonna.
Native
I'm gonna
American?
listen to one native dude supposedly from a book that was. When is that book
Okay.
printed? By the way, I have it actually. Hold on. I have.
So we just did.
Hold on a second. All right, let me get it. Don't leave, man. I'm getting the book right now. Hold on, family. I'm trying to get the book. Here it goes. Okay, I'm trying to get the book. Sorry, fam. So I have it here is by Ronald Sanders. All right, and this book was printed in 1964. Okay, a book printed in 1964. So he wants to bring a book from he wants to bring something from this book printed in 1964, right? Because one guy said this particular individual said this, but in this very same book, right, it says a lot of different things as well. Which one? Which I'll read this. It's not necessarily it is the topic technically, because Wobbles love to say that they were here first. On this very same book, in page 94, it says, I did not find, Columbus writes, any bestial men among them, and as some of us had expected, but on the contrary, men of great deference and kindness. On the onset of the onset of the warlike multitude was for another day. He said, neither are they black like Ethiopians. He goes on, their hair is smooth and straight, for they do not dwell where the rays of the sun strike most vividly. This clearly was meant to reassure to anyone who felt as did that black men tended to be more barbarous than whites in any condition. So in that very same book, it says the same thing. I mean, shit, man. You're gonna take the statement of one individual. Nah, Tommy, I'm not letting you on no more, bro. You didn't wait. You just hung. You just technically like got off. I told you I was getting the book, so I'm not doing that no more. Let's listen in, man.
Let me continue with my point. Once again, family, culture vultures. The nerve of these people. You guys need to pack up your bags and go back to Africa, man, for real. Because you want to know something? You don't belong here. You don't belong here at all. I'm gonna show you something, family. You think I'm kidding? Look at this. I'll show you right here. Page 182. It says here, in long expedition to the Rocky Mountain, we learned that the Ottawa tribe of Inca Indians, who inhabited the west side of the Missouri River, 50 miles above the Engineer continent, believed in one God. They called him Wakanda. Wakanda. They called him Wakanda and believed him to be the greatest and best of the things, the creator and preserver of all things. We continue. And he is supposed to afflict them with sickness, poverty, and misfortune for their evil deeds, not keeping the laws. In conversation, he is frequently appealed to as in evidence of the truth of his asseveration. Wakanda, hear what I say. Who is the real culture vulture, Dr. whatever your name is? Who sits here and calls us underwater Mexicans when in reality, you Africans of the western side stole this shit from us? Once again, family, how much more do I have to reveal? Black conquistadors. Habakkuk 1:5.
Hey, family. Let me stop you real quick. See, this is. Oh my God. This is why it's so stupid. People want to claim that they know the Bible. Okay, well, Paul went to Thessalonica, Philippians, Philip, Ephesus, Rome. There were. I'm assuming you would assume those are light-skinned people. What about that? What are you talking about? And mind you, by the way, Greece had already conquered that region by 338 BC. Then Rome took over afterwards, which is why you got Greco-Rome, and Rome dominated that region. And we know how people like to go and take areas, and they move there as well, and they blend in too. So what are you talking about? And Ptolemy was the ruler of Egypt at that time, which came out of the Greeks, the four kingdoms that were divided. What are we talking about here? How come that's ignored? And in case you don't know, this is why before you come to this channel, be mindful of what you're talking about. I've done several classes on Sumarraga, and if there's anybody that knows about that man, it's me. I know who he is. That's a devil, just like you guys. Let's go.
1 and 8. I mean, I could go. The list goes on and on, on and on and on. The transatlantic, Partituquito Ventrum. All of these things are coming about. Listen to this. It's not even over. Their gods, the name of their god, okay, is remarkable. Wakanda. Not a black god. Not no black history. Okay, because apparently Umar is all offended. Like, oh my God, you guys affected our children. They really have this value. No, matter of fact, this is not an African thing. I don't understand. Why didn't you guys read? You guys didn't read? You wonder where that name came from? There's no Wakanda in Africa. Not one. Huaconda, cabron. Not African. So in reality, we want some of that money that you guys made. Matter of fact, You're making a merchandise of your own gente and out of our expense. Do you realize that? Again, family. Again, I tell you. People can come here and talk all the shit they want, but they can't prove a damn thing. Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but
All right, so that was a portion of what I wanted to show you. All right, so let's go to the remaining part. Let me go to my notes real quick. Hold on a second. Let's see, 184. I think it should be at 184. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so here goes. Remember, this is the book by Ethan Smith, 1823. So let's not forget. Okay, so here it goes. Start here. We'll go page 182. They're better informed or wise men, it seems, retain some impressions of their original immigration from a foreign land and from the Northwest or, quote, Barren Strait. It is possible to give a satisfactory account of such tradition among those native Indians of Chile, short of their having received, them from the Hebrew sacred scriptures. Well, question mark. And if from thence, surely they must be Hebrews, right? So he continues. In Long's expedition to the Rocky Mountain, we learn that the Omawa tribe of Indians who inhabit the west side of the Missouri River, 50 miles above the engineer Cantonum, believe in one God. They call him Wakanda. Once again, they call him Wakanda and believe him, and believe him to be the greatest and best of beings. Man, come on, here. Let me put my glasses on. I'm tripping. To be the greatest and best of beings, the creator, and preserver of all things, the fountain of mystic medicine, omniscience, omnipresence, and vast powers are attributed to him. And he is supposed to afflict them with sickness, poverty, and misfortune for their evil deeds. Well, we see the curses and the blessings as well, right? In conversation, he is frequently appealed to as an evidence of truth and their asseveration. Wakanda, hear what I say. Wakanda, hear what I say. I'm not just making this up, family. This is in this book written in 1823. Why do I bring this up? Is because you have a lot of pretenders and grifters. Grifters, basically people that, push stuff like the ones that are posting stuff here that don't really believe this. They just feel something, but they don't really know if it's true or not, right? These Indians have many wild pagan notions of this one God, but they have brought down by tradition. It seems that above essentially correct view of him, in opposition to the polytheistical world. Their name of God is remarkable, Wakanda. It has been shown in the body of this work that various of the Indians called Yahweh, or Ol Ale, Yah or Wa, and doubtless from the Hebrew names Jehovah, Ali or Jah. And it has been shown that these syllables which compose the name of God are compounded in many Indian words or form the roots from which they are formed. Here we find the fact, while the author from whom the account is taken, it is presumed had no perception of any such thing. Wakanda, the last syllable of the Indian Yahweh or Yahiwa, compounded with Kanda or Jawa, their monosyllable name of God, thus compounded. Then it says, here is evidence among these
children of the deserted, both as the nature and the name of their one God, corresponding with what has been exhibited of other tribes, and very accountable if they are not of the tribes of Israel. Okay. Now, on the bottom it says, a religious custom related by Mr. Long goes to corroborate the opinion that these people are of Israel. Hold on a second.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Once again, a religious custom related to by Mr. Long goes to corroborate the opinion that these people are of Israel. He relates that from the age between 5 and 10 years, their little sons are obligated to ascend a hill fasting once or twice a week during the month of March and April, Passover, Day of the Corn, to pray aloud to Wakanda. Once again, Wakanda. When this season of the year arrives, the month informs the little son that the ice is breaking up the river. The ducks and geese are migrating, and it is time for you to prepare to go in clay. Now, the little worshiper, this is on page 183, then rubs himself over with whitish clay, and at sunrise sets off for the top of the hill, instructed by the mother what to say to the master of life. Many names, and we know that the scriptures have many names for him. From this elevated position, he cries aloud, like this right here.
Isaiah.
No, actually, no. It says that first. Well, actually, let me say it.
Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 1. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgressions, and the house of Jacob their sins.
From his elevated position, he cries aloud to Wakanda, he says, in melancholy tune, and calling on him to have pity on him and make him a great hunter, warrior. See, I'm not making this up. This is confirming that this name does have a connection to some region other than what supposedly we're being told. And again, I could care less. I don't give a damn about a movie. I mean, for me, it doesn't matter to me. But let's continue with this because I think there's still some left. There's still some left in this bone here. Let me see. Is there? Yeah, there is. All right, let's go. But do lie. Because they don't have the necessary power or might like the ones in Revelation 2:9. Let's continue. The name of their God is remarkable. Wakanda, Wakonda, and has been shown in the body of his work that various of the Indians call Yahweh or Yahiwa, like how they say, right? Ale, Yah, or Wa, doubtless from the Hebrew name Jehovah. As you know, that's not correct. It has been shown that these syllables, which compose of the name of God, are compounded in many Indian words. So you see, family, how they... So he covers the same topic there. This book here is from James Adair. The other one that I showed you is from Ethan Smith. Now, I'm going to bring you back to something that I think you should be mindful of in this book. We are going to go to... I'm just going to show you a few things here. Give me a second. Hold on. Let's see if I can get this page. Which page am I in? Hold on, man. I was highlighting some of the pages. Give me a moment. Just want to show you guys this page here. Here it goes, right here. So this is chapter 2. It's called The Certain Restoration of Judah and Israel. All right. So here Ethan Smith is going into his
reasoning behind why he feels and believes that the 10 tribes are here. Okay, so he goes into Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, speaking of the Chronicles and Kings and Ezra, right? Yeah, we see that here. Talking about the captivity. This is the captivity of Judah first, and then Israel after. King of Assyria when they take Samaria, right? Basically talking about that. If you're familiar with this book, then you should know. If you're into the studies, then you should know. Now, in page 49, I want to bring this to your attention because I find this very interesting. It says the Jews are to be restored to Palestine as Jews. Seems evident from the variety of consideration and that the 10 tribes of Israel will be there united with them. Seems also to be plainly predicted in the prophets, right? Let's skip to this real quick. I highlighted something else for y'all too. It should have been highlighted. Here it goes. On page 54. It says both houses of the descendants of Abraham. So again, I talked to you guys about how let's see, for example, let me see if I can find this picture. Right, hold on. Let's see where you at. Yeah, right here. This right here.
Upset that Trump
sorry, my bad. I was listening to that brother the other day. All right, so this is from which is the book that I have here? I think I took it home. Like I should have wrote down the notes. Okay, so it says here that Abraham and Lot in the land of purple, right? We're talking about Canaan, right? Famine in Canaan, family portrait, patriarch of age. So the reason I'm showing you this is because if you pay attention, we know that Abraham's seed migrated from the Ur of the Chaldees, right? Sojourned all the way through Haran, correct? And then ended up in Israel, correct? All right. Now, it says here that in this page, same book, page 84, since this picture dates from about 1900 BC, which was the period of the patriarchs, we may imagine that Abraham and his family looked something like this. Now, the 10 tribes were left after 538, 540 BC, 545, 530 BC, right? Some people want to be pinpointing dates, but let's just give it a 10-year back and forth around 535, 545, or 5 less, somewhere around that time, all right? Now, check this out. A Semitic family at the time of the patriarch, what do they look like? And who is more common with burros than anybody else? You know what I'm saying? Why are we kidding ourselves? I mean, these are up there. We know that Egyptians look like that. We know that. People embrace that. That's okay. But all of a sudden, these are ignored. What are you going to get? You're going to get woolly out of that? Is that what you're going to do?
upset that.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, are we going to go there? Both houses of the descendants of Abraham. Now we know that the descendants of Abraham are from those regions, right? Not Africa. No, from those regions. The prophet proceeds further to predict and illustrate the wonderful events by the resurrection of a valley of dry bones. I find that very interesting because the topic, or at least the intro of the class, was specifically that. You know, I had actually called it that. Awakening the valley of dry bones. Because people did talk about us, regardless of what others may assume. And they used Bible in order to express what they saw. Son of man, these bones, it's in chapter 37, I believe, of Ezekiel. It should be, yeah. Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried and our hope is lost. We are cut off for our parts. It's a heavy point. The heavy point to make, because we do read that. Now, that's what he references. So these are people that actually do study the Bible too, right? At that time, I guess, they didn't have TVs. Remember that, fam? Ezekiel 37:1, the hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord, and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones. That's what he's talking about. Okay. Therefore, the prophecy, and said unto them, thus say the Lord God, behold, O my people, I will open your grave and cause you to come out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. So, he's referencing that. Now, check this out. The reunion of the two branches of that people follows by the figure of the two sticks taken by the prophet. On one, he writes, for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companion. Upon the other, for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companion. Right? So he goes on and he's basically making his case as he's going further into this book. He's making his case. This is what I see. This is what the scriptures say. Here's more proof. Right? Here's Isaiah. Now, he goes and says on page 61, once again to remind us, these people here described to be brought by that land addressed as a present to the Lord to Mount Zion or to Palestine are evidently the descendants of Abraham. Now, some people disagree, some people agree. I don't know. I don't care. I look at who are going through it badly based on what I keep reading and hearing, and history says. Some people that are actually going through this, and we're going to touch on it in a little bit, because I just want to prove a point to you real quick. I'll prove a point to you. And then I'm going to show you a video real quick. Let's see. Where are you at? I wanted to show you something else, but if not, I'll continue. Check this out. Let's continue with this page here. We should be close to it. The present state of Judah and Israel. Okay. So now he keeps going into chapter 3 now. Okay. You guys can read this book in your own time. I'm telling you, it's a good book. I would say order it. Like the actual printing. So you can put notes in there. So now it says here, Mr. Noah says that in the state of Barbaria, their number exceeds 700,000. Their population is Persia, China, India, and Tartary, is stated, right? Please go into it. In a report of the London Society for the Conversion of the Jews. He's making his other remarks about some other people. But check this out. Here it gets a little interesting. My present object, page 72. Okay, so here's his point. My present... Oh, hold on. Let me read here, up here. My bad. This is my point. The American Meliorating Society, I believe, with its auxiliaries might be noted in detail, but they are well known. The history of the Palestine mission also. This is important, family. It says, the noted agency of Mr. Frey and the mission of Mr. Wolf, the Jewish missionary to Palestine. Pay attention to keep the concept of Jewish Palestine. What's going on right now? Currently, right? Some people are being executed and being taken out of certain lands. They've been there for some time. I'm not saying all certain people, just saying, again, we're scattered everywhere. But I find that specific zone in regards to the war and the way it's moving very interesting, how it's the microcosm that happened there were on the micro level that happened there compared to here on a macro level. It says, also the remarkable conversion of many of the Jews, but this would exceed my designated design limits. And these things are well known to the Christian world. It says, my present object is rather to attend to the present state of the 10 tribes of Israel. This branch of the Hebrew family have long been outcast, out of sight, or unknown as Hebrews. The question arises, are they in existence or as distinct people? If so, who or where are they? These are the queries of great moments at this period when the time of their restoration is drawing near. Once again, he references the valley of dry bones, and the two sticks becoming in one in the prophet's hand have been said clearly as to ascertain this in Ezekiel 39. So he references Ezekiel again. Now, I find this very interesting because he's talking about the indigenous people of this land that he found. He also obviously was going by notes that he had from James Adair himself, who was there several years before him. Now he's talking about Arsarat. We are familiar with this, but I want to give you guys one very interesting detail. Well, this right here, you guys know what I said about that name, Yahoo, right? So now let's continue. Here, this is right here. In page 78, it says that the high priest, meaning our chief priest, our native indigenous, when addressing to his people what they call the old divine speech, calls them the beloved, the holy people, and urges them to imitate their virtuous ancestors, and tells them of their beloved land flowing with milk and honey. They tell you that Yahweh or Yehovah once chose their nation from all the rest of mankind to be his peculiar people, that a book which God gave was once theirs, that a book which God gave was once theirs, and then things went well with them. But other people got it from them, and then they fell under the displeasure of the Great Spirit, but that they shall at some time regain it. Now, I found that very, very amazing, because when you talk about peculiar people, right? Check this out. I think that's beautiful. Deuteronomy 14:2, it says, "For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a peculiar people unto himself, above all the nations that are upon the earth." And he repeats it again, right? Deuteronomy 26:18. It says, "And the Lord has avouched thee this day to be his peculiar people, as he had promised thee, and that thou shouldest keep all his commandments." Now that's the Old Testament. He says it again in the New Testament. Titus 2:14. "Who gave himself for us, that he might redeem us from all iniquity, and purify unto himself a peculiar people, zealous of good works." Once more, says it again in Peter. 1 Peter 2:9. "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praise of him who had called you out of the darkness into his marvelous light." So again, Ethan Smith says that our indigenous leaders, right, our chief head or chief priest, the high priest, when addressing us to his people, what they call the old divine speech, calls them the beloved and holy people, urges them to imitate their virtuous ancestors, meaning like our forefathers, like our fathers and our great grandfathers, right? And tells them of their beloved land flowing with milk and honey. They tell you that Yehovah was once their chosen nation from all the rest of mankind to be his peculiar people. Unfortunately, God brought his punishment, right? Now, some, and it says here too also that, here, let's see here. They tell you that Yahweh once chose their nation from all the rest of mankind. Christmas Christians get butthurt about that. And this is nothing to boast, to be honest. You should be privileged. You should feel privileged. Not boastful, privileged. 2 Ezra 6:54, and after these Adam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. All these have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sake. And as for the other people, which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing but like unto a spittle. He repeats that in Isaiah 40, in case you don't know that. Matter of fact, let's go to it. I'll show you real quick. It's getting cold in here, family. Sorry, my heater's not working. It says, Isaiah 40:17, all nations before him are as nothing. They are counted to him less than nothing but vanity. But in verse 44, he says, yet hear now, O Jacob, my servants, and Israel, whom I have chosen. So he does choose. Now, somebody's wrong. And some people are going to pay dearly. Psalms 105:6. O ye seed of Abraham, his servant, ye children of Jacob, his chosen. Seed of Abraham, never changed. Just like Romans. Isaiah 41:8 says the same thing. Let's check it again. It says here, but thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Damn. My friend. Let's continue. Let's continue on these things. I want to bring this point to you guys because a lot of you guys, let me see if I can read this. Did it be, yeah, maybe. Well, it does talk about dry bones. I mentioned to you guys, actually somebody was here earlier, in case you don't know this family, somebody's trying to sit here and question us, or question me. And he's asking me to prove my DNA. I'm like, I've showed it in my channel several times. Either way, if I show it to you guys don't believe it anyways. You find an excuse not to believe it. So what does it matter? If you really want to know, look at my videos. It'll show you. Page 81 says that the Indians are descendants of Israel. Okay, I'm just randomly touching on that real quick. I just got something to show you because I think this needs to be talked about. So here he talks about different points. By the way, sorry, my bad. Let me just get to my point. Page 95, I think. Okay, here it goes right here. So you guys can find this on page 88 in this book, okay? So we have a lot of grifters that want to pin us to either being European or Tartarian or Mongolian, right? So here Ethan Smith touches on that. It says, Eulaw, by Dr. Williams, had a great acquaintance with the Indians of South America and some parts of North America. Speaking of the Indians of Cape Breton, in the latter, he declared them to be the same people with the Indian in Peru. If we have seen one American, he said, we may be said to have seen them all. These remarks do not apply to all the people in northern extremities of America. He says, the Eskimo natives appear to be a different race of men. You understand that now? Which I've said that before. And scriptures always talk about how Israel tends to have strangers among them. I've always said it before. And historically speaking, from what I found, there was never any issues with them. If you live in peace, we'll live in peace. But we know that we're not the same. Now, was there a mixture? Of course there was. Had to be. We see it. This race are found in Labrador, in Greenland, and round Hudson Bay. We're talking about up north, up there, like Alaska, all of those areas, Canada, all of that stuff. Not in North America, not in Mexico, not in Central. All these appear evidently the same with the Lampender, Zemblins, Samoyeds, and Tartars in the east. Oof. They probably migrated to the Western Hemisphere at periods subsequent to the migration of the Indians, to me after. They and some of them might have come from the north of Europe. Eskimos. This is in 1923. Ethan Smith is basically debunking these wobbos. All you idiots that think you know history. This guy went around and studied this stuff. Not like you that sat around behind and, saw some Google stuff and maybe read one page of a book, maybe one time, and didn't look any further. They or some of them might have come from the north of Europe, from Norway to Iceland, then to Greenland, and thence to the coast of Labrador and farther west. But the consideration of those different people does not affect our subject. You see this? Which I've always said. I've never ran from this. Like, yeah, I don't believe there are people, but you know what? Historically, from what I read, we never had issues with them. They're passive people. Did we mix? I'm sure we did, but not overwhelming. Come on, man, give me a break. Come on, bro, give me a break. I think this is an important point because a lot of times we have people that want to use this narrative and then try to, what I always say, take the spirit of our people. They want to take the spirit of our people. So let me go to page 178 because it actually confirms that as well. Let me see. Give me a second. Let me find it. 178. Yep, this is it right here. Here it goes right here. Let's see if I can get to the point. Is it this one or this one? Sacred convocation worthy of notice, never prostrate themselves. Okay, so here it goes right here. Okay, just to finalize my point. Under the 8th argument, Mr. Adair says the ceremonies of the Indians in their religious worship are more. I'm sorry, this is page 176. It says this James Adair now. Okay, so James Adair is so Ethan Smith is talking about what James Adair was saying, and Ethan Smith is supporting his argument of what he found as well. The ceremonies of the Indians in their religious worship are more after the Mosaic institutions than of the pagan imitation, which could not be if the majority of the old nations were of heathenish descent. Now, if you guys remember, Barbara Simmons from the Israel's Found or Lost Tribes Israel Found, something to that effect. I have the book. She was saying exactly this right here. Okay. He was exactly talking about these things that, that supposedly these Jesuits made this notion that Satan made us follow these laws, that we weren't Israelites, that we were just some made up tribe, that we just picked up these customs from other nations. So he's saying the ceremonies of the Indians in their religious worship are more after the Mosaic institution than of the pagan imitation. You see, what it means is we're more original than as us being conversos, which could not be if the majority of the old nation were of heathenish descent. They are utter strangers to all the gestures practiced by the pagans in their rich religious rites. They have another appellative which with them is the mysterious essential name God. It says the tetragrammaton, or the great four-lettered name, which they never name in common speech, of the time and place when and where they mention it. They are very peculiar and always with a solemn air. It is well known what sacred regard the Jews had to the four-letter divine name, so as scarcely ever to mention it, but once a year when the high priest went into the sanctuary at the expiation of sins. All right. Then it says, might not the Indians copy from them the sacred invocation Yahiwah? Other methods of invoking God in a solemn hymn with that reverent deportment and spending a full breath on each of the first syllables of the awful divine name. So you see what he's saying? He's spending a full breath on each of the two first syllables. Yah, like Yahweh. So it's one pronunciation, but there's like Yah, Yah, Yah. It's like two, a breathe in, breathe out concept, like wow, something like that, right? They may be worthy of noticing that they never prostrate themselves nor bow their heads, bow their bodies to each other by the way of salute or homage, though usually with stern nations, except when they are making reverence, renewing peace with strangers who come in the name of Yah. You see this? So now it says here. Let me see if I can find it. It says here to finish. Let's see. Note the convent. Everybody's don't bring communication. Ignorance, popular preachers. Hold on a second here. East part those days, so many geographers stretch Asia Marathon. Is this it? Sent many American to inform us on theirs came up. The religious rights, merchandise, custom, obtain knowledge of them. We learned America. Let's go ahead and read this. Let's read this real quick, okay? And then we're done. Page 178, it says, those who descend from my opinion of the American Indians' origin, he adds, ought to inform us how the natives came here and by what means they found a long chain of rites and customs so similar to the usage of the Hebrew nations, and in general, similar to the modest of the pagan world. They're basically, the majority of our customs were of Hebrew origin. Yes, there was some paganism involved, but not as much as the Hebrew origin. Their religious rites, marital customs, dress, music, dance, and domestic form of life, clearly to evidence also that they came to America in early times before sex had sprung up among the Jews, which was soon after their prophets' seeds, also before arts and science had arrived at any perfection. Otherwise, it is likely they would have retained some knowledge of them. It says, we learn from Dr. Robertson's History of America that the Mexicans had the tradition that their ancestors came from a remote country situated to the northwest of Mexico. The Mexicans, he says, points out their various stations as they advance from this into the interior province, and it is precisely the same route which they must have held if they had been immigrants from quote-unquote Asia, right? Now it says here, to finish it up, Mr. Adair says that though some have composed or supposed the Americans to be descendants from Chinese, Mongolians, remember, right? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Sounds familiar. Yet neither their religion, law, or custom agree in the least with those of Chinese. Damn it. That's very true, and I told people that. We have our food is different, our clothes, our dress is different, our music is different, our compartment is different. It's just different. Then it says, and he says that the remaining traces of their religion, ceremonies, and civil... I'm sorry, let me go back. Yet neither their religion, laws, or customs agree with, at least with those of Chinese, which sufficiently prove that they are not of this line. And he says that the remaining traces of this religion, or their religious ceremonies, and civil and marital customs are different from those of the old Scythians. He thinks, therefore, that the old opinion that the Indians are descendants from Tartar or ancient Scythians should be exploded as weak and without foundation. So Wobbles, please. You got to eat crow, bro. Y'all need to just stop. Just stop. Just stop where you're at, for real. Just stop. Those who had advanced the affirmative have not been able to produce much, if any, evidence that any of the religious rites found among the Indians and resembling those of ancient Israel have ever been found among any people in east of Asia. Such a thing cannot be expected. Those rites were arbitrary, established only in Israel, and designed to distinguish them from all other nations. It is utterly admissible then to suppose that these Indians' riots may be accounted for from an idea that the Indians may have learned from them other heathen nations. With very similar proprietary might the unbeliever in divine revelation say that the Jews in ancient Israel derived their religion
not from God, also as the Bible supports, but from the heathen nations, who at that time might have, we know, have just such religious customs. You see what I'm saying? So it says, if the Aborigines derived these riots and customs from ancient Asiatic heathen, why not some of those heathen themselves retain some of them? Ooh. Right? How come they're not making tacos de carne asada over there? How come they're not making mariachi music? You know what I mean? How come they're not making tamales? How come they're not eating corn like we do? Why not have some of those heathenists themselves retain some of them and disseminated them through some other parts of the world besides the vast wilds north of North and South America? So it says, Captain Caber is able to find that some of the people northeast of Asia once presented to some of the Russians their pipe of peace. The people of Israel, as they passed by the people in ancient days, may have caught this custom from them, as none pretend this was a Hebrew riot, or those few people, those noted in Asia, may have caught this custom from Indians over Bering Strait. But this is nothing compared with the many Hebrew riots found among the natives of America. You see? Now, I know that I have this book here. I said I was going to be finished with this, but I'm going to show you this, and I'll end up with this, so you can see what I'm talking about. Valera, a famous writer, right? He tried to pin us into being some particular type of people, right? So he's talking about the history of Occidentalis, Peruvian history, right? Valera is he writes this book. Okay, so we see what time we're talking about. Let me get to the point. This is what he says. Listen to this. It says that a few sections that remain of Valera's work on this subject, he apparently speculated that the people of America originated from the ancient Chaldeans. Remember what I told you, or where Abraham sojourned or originated from? This is why it's good to read and know the Bible, because if you read and you know the Bible, then you can't be fooled. So it says here that this individual says that we once originated from the ancient Chaldeans, who once lived in the plains of Shinar in the Persian Gulf. That is this right here. Okay, the ancient Chaldeans is Ur of the Chaldees, right here, the Persian Gulf. Okay, where Abraham actually came from. The patriarch of Abraham is from the Chaldees, right? So in his own error, in his own hate, he actually puts us right in the cross lines of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's continue. Who once lived in the plains of Shinar in the Persian Gulf. The chronicler wrote that the religion of the natives in Greater Florida and the Caribbean islands was derived from the practices of Chaldeans, who worshipped only natural features such as lakes, springs, and stars. Likewise, he claimed that the faith of the first Peruvians was molded of that of the Chaldeans. Now, check this out. The Chaldeans were renowned in biblical history for founding the city of Ur, from whence came Abraham, the father of the Hebrew nation. They were believed to have descended directly from Noah, and they became famous as learned astrologers, priests, and magicians. By linking the ancient Peruvians to the Chaldeans, Valera was placing the people of the New World in the framework of the biblical history. See? Now, that wasn't technically the book I wanted to show you, but it leads me to this one. I'm glad I actually found it. And I promise, this is the last one, all right? So this is from Descriptions of the Indies 1620. Number 55, it says, Ezra says that at the close of this extended journey, they colonized and lived in that region, which was called Arsareth. I've showed you the map where Arsareth is, at the corner of Russia, close to Alaska. That the very learned Arthur Genebrard, in Book 1 of his chronology, states that Arsareth is the extreme point of Tartary, or Scythia. That is a cape or promontory, which is the boundaries of landmarks dividing the old from the new, above the Straits of Anian, which what they call the Bering Straits now, and near which they cross from that country to New Spain. So now, remember what we read, that
there's a possibility we could have picked up customs as we passed through, right? Valera says that, yeah, these guys aren't Israelites, but they do seem to come from that origin of the because they have those traditions. So apparently he's putting us with people of those traditions, correct? Okay, so they could have gone that route, meaning from Israel all the way across to India and China. Since they're in the region of Cathay, the people inhabiting that country keep the Old Testament and the laws of Moses. You see that? Further up north, although many with superstition besides. This is a full and sufficient proof that the members of the 10 tribes passed through there and settled there, since it is clear from their observation of the law, and from there could easily cross the straits or channel which lies between China and the kingdom of Anian, as may be seen on the globes or maps. And from the kingdom of Anian, they went on exploring and colonizing those countries of the New World before seen or settled by human beings. You see, in this channel, what we do is we read you material and then we prove to you what we're reading and how we can confirm it. So we don't just we don't just tell you things, and we don't just throw a scripture at you and then tell you to go find it. Or we don't just say, read this chapter 28 and you'll find us in there. We don't do that. So now I'm going to give you a map, I'm sorry. I've given you many books. So I'm going to give you a map. And hopefully this map can make sense. I don't know why it's taking a while, but apparently it is. Hold on, family. Not sure why it's taking a while, dude. That's crazy. It usually doesn't take that long. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Yeah, I don't know why it's taking that long. Let's see. I think finally you'll get there. Damn, dude, is it time to get a new media card? I think it's time to get a video card. My stuff is working too slow. Anyways, the map is from 1587. Urbano Monte, or Monte Urbano, I believe is Urbano Monte. I believe that's what it is. Okay, so here we go. Let's get to the point and then we'll call it a day. There we go, right there. Bam, bam. There it goes right there. Okay, so we see right there, you see Arsareth, and then we see the streets, Trechos de Anian, right? So Arsareth, Trechos de Anian, Arsareth, Trechos de Anian. See, skipping a hop. Maybe next class what I'll do is I'll show you guys more material on this name, Kivara. Providence of Kivara. All right. Anyways, with that being said, man, I hope you had a appreciative, edifying night or day. I should call it night, day. Shoot, it's early in the morning, dude. I usually do classes at night. And anyways, for all you guys that are still trying to figure yourselves out, you know what I mean? Continue to watch. And don't just come up to this channel and make statements and assume that you know what you're talking about. Why don't you watch this for a little while? Go back to the videos. Maybe you'll learn something. And get out of your emotions. If you're Israel, then you're Israel. If you ain't, you ain't. It's that simple. You can't change the damn thing. Can't confuse. I mean, you know what I mean? You. And again, it's like the scriptures say, you cannot make a crooked tree straight. So y'all have a good night, man. Hey, shalom, Joe. Good to have you here, brother. Will be revealed. What's up, bro? Sounds like Christianity. Some of them now saying the Most High from Old Testament is evil. Can you believe that? Yeah, yeah, you showed me that. It's crazy. All right, brother. So in case I didn't catch your name, anybody else? What's up, Chris? I didn't see you, man. What's up, Meshicha too? What's up, Jeremias? Buenos dias. Good to see you, bro. Appreciate you guys. Like and share, please. Would appreciate that. You guys have a good day. I'm gonna close it up now. All right. Hold on. Let me play some music, and then we'll be all set. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Give me a second. All right. Let's see. Try to. Nah, I don't want to play that. Let's see if I can play this one for you guys. I don't think I played this one in a while. I found this recently. Oh, I did play that. I did play that initially. That's right, I did. Matter of fact, I'll just end it with this. To be honest, I woke up early. As a matter of fact, I'll do it this. All right. Have a good night, family. You guys take care of yourselves.
Estamos aquí, oye, que estamos aquí. Mírame, estamos aquí. Desde hace rato, cuando ustedes llegaron, ya estaban las huellas de nuestros zapatos. Se robaron hasta la comida de gato y todavía se están lamiendo el plato. Bien encabronados con estos ingratos. Hoy le doy duro a los tambores hasta que me acusen de maltrato. Si no entiendes el dato, pues te lo tiro en cumbia, bossa nova, tango o vallenato. A lo calaboy y bambú, bien frontú, con sangre caliente como Timbuktu. Estamos dentro del menú. Tupac se llama Tupac, por Tupac Amaru del Perú. América no es solo USA, papá. Esto es desde Tierra del Fuego hasta Canadá. Hay que ser bien bruto, bien hueco. Es como decir que África es solo Marruecos. Estos canallas se les olvidó que el calendario que usan se lo inventaron los mayas con la Valdivia precolombina. Desde hace tiempo, este continente camina, pero ni con toda la marina pueden sacar de la vitrina la peste campesina. Esto va para el capataz de la empresa. El machete no es solo para cortar caña, también es para cortar cabeza.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Los paramilitares, las guerrillas, los hijos del conflicto, las pandillas, las listas negras, los falsos positivos, los periodistas asesinados, los desaparecidos, los narcogobiernos, todos los que robaron, los que se manifiestan y los que se olvidaron, las persecuciones, los golpes de estado, el país en quiebra, los exiliados, el peso devaluado, el tráfico de droga, los carteles, las invasiones, los emigrantes sin papeles, 5 presidentes en 11 días, disparo a quemarropa por parte de la policía, más de 100 años de tortura, la nova trova cantando en plena dictadura. Somos la sangre que sopla la presión atmosférica. Gambino, mi hermano, esto sí es América.
Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. Aquí estamos, siempre estamos, no nos fuimos, no nos vamos. Aquí estamos pa' que te recuerde. Si quieres mi machete te muerde. 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 Te muerde, te muerde.
Ical, hijo, abre los ojos.
cuerpo se queda con nosotros, pero tu espíritu debe seguir. Busca la luz. Aléjate de las sombras. Deja que nuestro dolor sea tu fuerza. Desde aquí iluminamos tu camino. Lucha como nosotros ante esta pena tan grande. Yo soy tú. Tú eres yo. La muerte que hoy nos separa, mañana volverá a unirnos. Eres libre, hijo.